Hello there, this is DBT and these are the runes. And alright, let's start playing some Asphalt 8. Wait, start playing? What do you mean, DBT? You've been playing Asphalt 8 for a while. That's right, but today is the first video of the year. That's right, 2026 is here, let's go, baby! So, here we are, 2026, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a fantastic transition between the years. But yeah, the new year has started, and of course, there's no better way to start a year than to drive some Lambos. That's right, we're gonna be playing some Lambos in Asphalt 8. But before I get into it, if you enjoy my content, please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. As I always say, this helps the channel, it keeps me going, it helps the channel to grow. It's free, it helps, why not? But remember, once we hit the 25,000 subscribers, I'm doing a 12-hour live stream of roomy games with Asphalt 8 included a bunch of times. So you'll be able to join me and play, and also keep in mind that in that live stream, you're gonna be able to see my face. What? DBT face reveal? Yes! So, go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I don't know, maybe already we hit the 25,000, in which case, get ready, because the live stream is coming. But alright, so what am I doing today? Well, as I just mentioned, I'm gonna be doing some multiplayer. There's really no particular objective today other than driving a bunch of Lambos, and because the new season just started, it's gonna have to be in Master Season. Not that it bothers me, because remember that now in Master Season, once you make it into Elite, you're gonna be able to start getting the Sportline kits to quote-unquote Sportline, either your Pagani Huayra BC or your Bugatti Bolide. But that's not the topic for today. I activated some boosters and I just really want to drive Lambos. And of course, I'm starting with the Sienna. Now, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to break a little bit the illusion over here and admit to you that the very first video of 2026 with Asphalt 8, it's actually being recorded and still in 2025. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm guilty. But the reality is that I have a bunch of things IRL to do for the new year, you know, spend time with family and stuff. So I'm not gonna be home by the time this whole thing drops. So instead I have to pre-record it, but hey, the sentiment is the same, all right? We're still technically, at least when you're watching, in 2026, so there is that. But yeah, I'm curious to know, how was your new year? Did you celebrate? Did you eat a lot of food? Did you drink a lot of wine? I don't know, whatever it is that you do. Because over here in Mexico, you know that I live in Mexico, well, the new year is certainly, oh no, Jesus Christ, I thought I was gonna ring out right there. The celebration, it's pretty, I would say, Americanized in the sense of, hey, let's do the countdown from, you know, from 12 to 0 for the Happy New Year, and then do the hugs and the kisses and all of that stuff. But it's also a lot about food, you know? There's a bunch of, once again, very Americanized dishes that people tend to eat around here, at least here in Mexico City. Obviously, in other places in the country, there's probably more regional food, but here in the city, it's just like, yeah, let's have some turkey and some stuff like that. So, not necessarily super interesting, but hey, food is food and what's not to like. I did get beaten by a bunch of cars, including a Sportline Bugatti Bolide and a super strong Huayra Art Anniversary, but I did get beaten by an SV, which is considered a bad car in Class S. It's not bad, but hey, there it is. Though to be fair, I did beat a Jesco Absolute, so that makes me kind of happy. So anyway, because I'm a very food-motivated person, I want to hear what you guys were eating for New Year. So why don't you let me know in the comments what it is that you had. And well, while it's good to know the name of dishes, do tell me what the dishes are. Don't just tell me like, oh, I ate this thing. Like, what is it? So why don't you tell me, hey, I ate this thing, it's called this, and it's basically this type of thing, prepared with that, and something like that, right? It's just that I'm really curious to hear what people eat. If there's like a specific type of, let's say, customary dish that you eat during the New Year's, or is it more like, we eat whatever? I don't know, I'm just curious because, hey, like I said, I'm a person that is somewhat interested in food just because I love food. What can I tell you? That's why I keep getting fatter. But anyway, so yeah, and over here, like I said, it tends to be very normal stuff, a lot of, especially here, like I was saying in Mexico City, it's very Americanized in the sense that there's a lot of influence from the United States. So you can see that, but like I said, in the city, I do imagine that in other regions here in Mexico, like not the city, not the most urban place, there might be other things. But honestly, I couldn't tell you because I've lived in the city for all my life, so there is that. But yeah, so I'm curious to hear what you guys were eating, if there's indeed like a dish that you use to celebrate the new year or what. There's some other things that we do over here for New Year's, but hey, we'll get to it. Another fourth place, that's funny because I got two fourth places in that. Hey, once again, I got beaten by extremely strong cars. Bolide with the Sportline 765, which you know is very strong. The Quara 20th anniversary, which is also very strong. And I did beat all of those other cars, including a Bayan, which is quite strong. Though it's not fully upgraded. I mean, not triple boosted, so there's that. Now, I did say that I was going to be driving Lambos, not just one, so I've switched from the Cyan to another classic Lambo of Class S. Of course, I'm talking about the Lamborghini Centenario, and those who know me know that I don't drive this car very often at all. So watching DBT playing with this car is kind of like, you know, having a look at Bigfoot or something, because you just never see it. But anyway, something else I was going to tell you about the new year over here is another thing that we do. It's during the countdown, like I said, we still go like... usually, like, people tune into something on TV or maybe an online thing that is doing the countdown and whatnot. And once we reach the 12 seconds before the new year, we start doing the countdown like 12, 11, 10. And at the same time, people have grapes. And it's one grape per each one of those, the numbers of the countdown. And you're supposed to, as you're eating the grapes for each one of those, you're also supposed to be asking for wishes or something like that, right? Which honestly, it's kind of impossible to do all of that at the same time, because it's every second. So how are you gonna ask for 12 wishes while you eat 12 grapes and all of that? It's very, very difficult. I've tried to do that since I was a kid, and I can never do it properly on time. So at the end of when you're already like in 3, 2, 1, you're already eating all of them at the same time, because it's like, oh, whatever, just have them all. And then the midnight hits and everyone's like, Happy New Year's, and the whole thing begins, and you know, all of that stuff. Everybody goes crazy. So yes, defeated by a Hennessy Venom, well, kind of expected, but I did beat an unboosted Absolute, so that's gotta count for something, right? I think. Traditions. That is the word that for some reason I could not think of when I was talking about this thing. It's traditions, things that we do over here, you know, for the new year and all of that. So yeah, when you hit the midnight is when everybody was crazy, and ooh, the hugging, the kissing, all of that begins, right? That's kind of how this whole thing works. So I don't know, I would imagine that in a lot of places here in the western side of the world is gonna be somewhat similar, but I'm interested to hear about other places as well, because hey, you know, the world is very big. People have very varied, I don't know if I said that right or not, but a lot of variety when it comes to traditions and all of that. So I'm really curious to hear what you guys, well, rather read what you guys have to say about that. But yeah, do tell me what you ate, because, you know, I want to get some ideas to maybe what we have next year. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that is the whole thing. Again, by the time that I'm recording this, technically it's still 2025, but whatever. Let's ignore that fact. Let's assume that I already had my food for the new year and all of that, because yes. Oh boy, wait, it's happening. It's happening. Oh my god. No, what the I'm fine. I must start the year in full control of my emotions. I shall not crash out. But seriously, look at that. How did the guy get past me like that? That was ridiculous. It's bull. I'm fine. But now I have switched to another classic Lamborghini in Class S of the rank of 1860. Of course, that is the Huracan. It was no, of course I'm not gonna drive that ugly thing. No, I'm driving the Terzo Millennio. It may not vroom, but hey, it's a beautiful car, so might as well. But alright, let's switch the topic a little bit for this video. I mean, halfway through the video, but still, I want to talk a little bit of let's say a bit of a retrospective of what happened in Asphalt 8 in 2025. Because that is a topic that I recently talked about with the members in the membership video that I do. Remember, Jesus Christ. Remember that there's the whole membership program in which it's a monthly subscription and you get some perks by subscribing. And in one of the tiers, you also get exclusive videos with face cam, without the bleeping and all that. So if you want to join in, that's good. But anyway, over there I was talking precisely about this whole thing on how Asphalt 8 in 2025, well, what happened with it? What did we get? How did it evolve? And the reality is that unfortunately there was not a lot of evolution in the game. However, I still think that it's on a slightly better road than it was in 2024. And that is not me trying to blame any particular team that is working in Asphalt 8. As usual, I think that the development of this game, or the lack of development in the game, has nothing to do with what a lot of people say that it's because they're lazy. No, I think it has more to do simply with the restraint on budget. Like, hey, do we have the budget to assign a ton of man hours into developing a new thing? And I would imagine that is the main thing that is stopping them for creating new things and whatnot. But still, I do believe that this year we saw some changes to the game, or rather last year, I suppose, some changes to the game that are kind of cool. Now, depending on the perspective, is what you can call a new feature in the game. Now, I have been extremely critical as to sometimes what Gameloft in Asphalt has been calling new features, which are just like rehashes of events that we already had. You know that they did like halfway through the year the whole thing of the roadmap where it's like, no, we're doing a bunch of new things and whatnot. And even when I made that video covering the roadmap, I did say I hope that these new quote-unquote features are not just going to be a reskin version of an existing event. And unfortunately, a lot of it was the case. When we got a bunch of RIP buddy. A bunch of events which are just repeats of events that we have had before, like the Star Hunt, but now it's a Cake Hunt, or now it's a Turkey Hunt, and things like that, right? So those things I don't really call that much of a development. It's just an additional. Granted, I mean, it does require some development in order to do it, or rather features. That's what I meant to say. I don't consider those a feature. Just because it's a new type of event, but the event is really just a new type of shop in the game. You can collect some items in the track, but it's not like there's, oh Jesus Christ, a lot more to do. There's no new gameplay in the game. It's just a new style of shop in which you spend your currency that you earn throughout the race, right? So not exactly a feature. Because if we were indeed to consider those proper features, then I guess we have had a lot of features, but that doesn't quite convince me when it's just basically a new shop. Now, in saying that of the shop, there was one change related to shop that was actually really good in 2025, and that is the inclusion of the credit shop. And this is something that, well, really came out of nowhere, because one day Gameloft was like, hey people, we need some feedback about the credit. Should we get rid of it or should we do something cool with it? And everybody was like, no, do something cool with it. And actually they followed through. They created this specific shop in which you get to spend your credits to get some good stuff in the game. Now, granted, there was a bit of a controversy related to the prices for which things were selling, but honestly, I think it's quite decent enough. And maybe I'm just saying it from a very privileged position because I have a ridiculous amount of credits that I accrued over years, but still, I consider, or I think that given the very limited use that credits have, having an additional thing to spend them on is not a bad thing. And it even got a little bit better, because for the first several weeks that the shop was there, I don't know, it probably was like a couple of months or something, the shop was refreshing every week, and every week it would change some of the rewards that you can get, or rather the things that you could buy with said credits. Hey, I got a third place, not too bad. I got defeated by a Cyan, I can hate that at all. And I didn't mention it in the previous race, but yeah, I switched to another Lambo, a newer one, the Sterato, because yes. But anyway, as I was saying, so every week the shop was changing, and the constant thing is that you could buy some tokens for credits, you could buy some fusion coins for credits, but other things were changing. And there were boosters to buy over there, which was nice, especially when they made available 1 hour boosters there and whatnot, right? But those things were weekly. And there was 1 or 2 weeks in which they actually made available direct upgrades, and we were like, oh my god. I remember I even went into the community section of here in my YouTube channel and telling you guys like, hey, there are some direct upgrades, you may want to buy them and all of that. Now that's where the prices weren't really high, because the direct upgrades were selling for a ton of credits, and people, like I said, had some problem with it because it's, oh my god, they're so expensive. But at the same time, the whole idea of the credit shop was precisely that the credits have been really useless for a long time, and there's a tremendous amount of players who just have a bunch of credits just because they're just piling up over there. So having a good pretext to spend them and in something really useful, even if it's expensive, but at least having a way to spend said credits that were, well, useless, was not a bad thing. It was a really big surprise when they changed it from being weekly refreshes to daily refresh. So nowadays, you can just straight up buy direct upgrades every day, so long as you have enough credits, because once again, they're very expensive, but man, you can use your credits. What's not to like? Look at us with the Lambo Cyan, Sterato, and Cyan. Let's go. I mean, we got bitten by a Faraday, but who cares? But now I have swapped to the newest Lambo in the game that I own, and that is the Lamborghini Revuelto. Yes, that is the newest one that I own. There's 2 newer Lambos, the Temerario and the Authentica, but I don't own them because they were pressure rush or whatever. But anyway, so the whole thing of the shop, the credit shop, was actually a really good thing here in the game, so I did appreciate that. But from there, like I said, it was a repeat of a bunch of events. But then we also had the Chrome Marauder. And while there's, a lot to talk about the Chrome Marauder when it comes to the difficulty, especially the last one, which was insanely difficult to get the main, or rather the best reward, basically was made to be impossible. Overall, the Chrome Marauder, when it comes to the gameplay itself, is something that really caught my attention. Because while it was not the most revolutionary change to the gameplay in the entire game, there was a change in the gameplay, and that is something that we haven't seen in years in the game. We had this whole new thing where there's now a specific car that you need to take down, you need to destroy using the power-ups and using this and using that. And obviously there's a lot of people who didn't like these mechanics. And I'm not here to defend it as, oh no, this is the future of Asphalt 8. But what I'm saying is that it was nice to see something different in the game for once, after so many years that we hadn't seen any new gameplay. And I'm getting a bunch of third, fourth, even second places. Oh, Asian won. Hey, can't be mad at that. And I got defeated by a Torino design. Oh, look at that. Is that Revolta from Temu? Interesting. I mean, I only call it that because it has a similar exhaust position in the car and all that, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I don't believe that the changes or the new gameplay that was added in Chrome Marauder is the future of the gameplay in Asphalt 8. But what I'm saying is that it's good to see something different. Because really the last gameplay change that was made in the game was, or something that affected gameplay significantly, yeah, that's how I was saying, was Gauntlet. That is the last new thing that was like, hey, here's a different thing in the game, you have to do something different. I think I just knocked someone down. And it's a new game mode and all of that. And granted, the Chrome Marauder mechanics are, well, exclusive to the Chrome Marauder event. But the fact that we're seeing something different, it's kind of nice. I mean, I find more fun to try to be destroying the enemy truck than to be picking things on the track for the 11th time. And I completely messed up that jump, so oof. I was trying to see if I could get high enough to get into that ledge, but apparently not, so okay, never mind. So now I'm super far behind, I think? Probably. Anyway, so yeah, that is something that I definitely do see as a positive change in the game, even if the gameplay itself is not groundbreaking or super interesting or whatever. But you could see a change, and more now in the newest Chrome Marauder, where they even changed the camera angle, and now you shoot the... what are they called? The snowballs and all of that. That is completely different to anything that we have had in the game. And I think that is a good thing. Again, maybe you dislike the game mode itself, but I see it as a positive. Now we even have a new feature, the sportline thing. And now this one is massively controversial because of many things that, well, because of how it changed the balance in the game, not necessarily in a good way. But some may argue that it is, but let's talk about it. The whole thing of the Sportline, if you don't know, I made a video talking about it. If I remember, I'll put the link in the top right so you can watch that. But you can see that bolide right there with the sparks and all of that. That is a Sportline Bugatti bolide. And that is a car that goes above its pro rank, or in the case of the bolide, the ultimate rank. And it becomes even stronger, putting it in the highest rank currently in the game, 1865, which is the same rank of the formerly best car in the game, the Hennessy Venom F5. Now, there's an entire topic, and I've talked about this at great lengths, at how I dislike the fact that Gameloft broke their own rules when it came to the brackets and how their particular ranks fit within a certain bracket. You know, the whole thing of 1680, 1681, 1682, or 7070, 7072, things like that, right? And they broke it, and they added these cars, the first one being the Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute at 1864, that goes above the, let's call it the maximum allowed rank in a bracket. And it's stronger than none of the other cars. Now, granted, by a small bit, but it's still stronger, objectively stronger than all the other cars. So now that they added the Sportline feature, well, we have that, but increased in a way. You know, the whole thing of breaking the range or the rank. All right, I got defeated by precisely Sportline bolides and the really strong Pyra R20th anniversary. But now let's finish in style with the good old Lamborghini Aventador Super Veloce, one of the worst quote-unquote Lambos over here, but hey, whatever, it's fine. So yeah, the whole thing of the Sportline feature, I dislike it in the basis of breaking further the rules of the brackets and the fact that it has created a couple more cars that are super spammed at the moment, in particular the bolide, but you can see over there that Pagani Huayra BC also Sportline. So now, while it allows people to be more competitive, because now they also have an 1865 car without needing to own the Hennessy Venom F5, that also creates a massive imbalance where now there always have been metas in the game, but now these are becoming more pronounced. While it's not only about one or two cars that are the strongest in the rank of 1863, 64, 65, or whatever it is. Well, there's no 63, but you know what I mean. Now there's more of those. And this is the part where I've said, and I provided this feedback directly to GameLove privately and also publicly, that I do not like the fact that they have done this. And not because, oh my god, I don't want stronger cars or anything like that. I do see a need for the game to have stronger cars, because at the end of the day, that is what sells. We have so many Class S cars so strong already that in order to bring a car that people will want to buy, they're gonna have to go crazier with the performance and all of that. But it's starting to make Class S incredibly imbalanced, because now, if you think about it, Class A is more balanced, because there's no 1773, 74, 75 cars that can compete with the 72s. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, that is the part that I really dislike about this whole thing of the Sportline, though I do like the idea of GameLove continue to add stronger cars. I know that sounds very contradicting, but let me cook. I think it's high time for GameLove to add a new bracket in the game. I don't know, call it what you want. Call it S+, call it Class R, Class Z, whatever it is, right? Whatever you name they want to put it, something just that it's not difficult to make sense of. But yeah, I think it's about time, because like I said, at this point, Class S is becoming more and more, and this has been for well over a year, that basically all of the cars that get added in the game, with a few exceptions, are Class S. So we have a tremendous amount of Class S cars in the game, so that's enough of that. And now that they're breaking from the bracket of Class S, then why not create the next bracket that is going to consist from 1863 to whatever is the new limit. And, you know, in that way, they can start adding, oh, here's a new car at 1865. Oh, here's a new car at 1866, so on and so forth. And I know that some people don't like idea, because some people are very happy with, hey, I already have the king of the game, the 1865 car. No more, please. I want to keep the king forever and ever. But the reality is that in the interest of GameLove's business, and remember that the business of GameLove allows us to continue playing this game online and all of this stuff, it would make sense for them to sell something better every time. And I know that that is an idea that a lot of people dislike, the whole idea of the power creep. But I think it makes sense, especially now that they're doing the power creep anyway, but affecting Class S as a byproduct, which honestly makes it feel absolutely terrible. Hey, I got a third place, not too bad, with a car that is known for not being amazing. And once again, there's a Cyan. Love to see the Cyan. And don't worry, I am not oblivious to the fact that this is considered a massively hot take. Apparently not a lot of people want a new bracket, but I certainly believe that that's what is needed. If they're gonna continue to add cars of higher and higher ranks, then let's not make it compete against the cars that were already balanced in a particular way. Put all of the newer, higher, stronger beasts to compete against one another, and I think that would be interesting for everybody. And I do believe that that would be good for all the people who enjoy playing with their Class S cars, but the people who are going to be most affected or they're going to hate more this idea, are those that only want to have the best cars in the game. And it's like, oh my god, my Hennessy Venom is no longer the best car. Now there is a Bugatti Tourbillon at 1866, and that's a stronger, oh my god. So yeah, at that point, oh, stop pushing me, buddy, Jesus. At that point, all I can say is like, man, unfortunately, you're just playing a game which, as a mobile, free-to-play, pay-to-win game, god damn it. Their business is to continue adding new stuff, shinier stuff, for you to buy the newer, shiniest, bestest thing until they add a newer, even shinier, even besterer thing out there. So yeah, I understand it is a hot take, but the way that I see this whole thing going with the Sportline and everything, I think it's high time for them to create a new bracket and, you know, start filling it up from the bottom. Don't start adding instantly the 1950 ranked cars. No. Go 1866, then go 1867, then add a new one at 1868, so on and so forth, right? They're gonna have a ton of opportunities to fill the bracket with a ton of newer and newer kings, and in the meantime, the good old classes that we have enjoyed for all this time can just remain to be what it is without needing to worry about newer and stronger cars affecting races where it suddenly becomes incredibly unfair. But yeah, that's the end of my hot take, all right? That's enough, because I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying, they're like, DBT, what are you talking about? No, I still want my classes to be the strongest. But, you know, it is what it is. And just to wrap up this entire thing, basically, I just wanted to, again, do a little bit of a retrospective on what happened in 2025, and I can say that the year was interesting. Definitely not as many things as I would have wanted for new features in the game and whatnot, but there were some glimpses that there might be an interesting future for the game if it's handled the right way. And I'm not saying that I know the way to handle it and I know what's best, but I certainly hope that Gameloft is gonna listen to the logic behind some of these thoughts and maybe consider it in the future and not make these races even more imbalanced. A bike just knocked me down, Jesus. More imbalanced than already are. But yeah, that is basically it. I just wanted to grab a bunch of Lambo, talk about the things that I noticed in 2025. What did I forget? What do you think it was worth to talk about in this video? Let me know in the comments. What did you think, or what were your impressions of 2025 in Asphalt 8? What did you like of this year? What did you dislike of this, well, that year technically, last year? What did you like? What did you dislike? What would you have liked to see? What were you disappointed to see? You know, I want to hear what you guys have to say, because at the end of the day, if I can find enough of a consensus, this is additional feedback that I can provide to Gameloft. Like, hey, I asked my community what did they like and what did they dislike, and well, maybe we can provide that, and maybe Gameloft will listen to us the same way that they listened to us when we were so damn loud about the credits and the credit shop and all of that stuff. But anyway, that does it for this video. If you're gonna get a heart and a pin in this video, the key phrase for today is going to be, let the 2026 rooming begin in style with Lambo power, baby. First person to post it gets the heart, a pin. Imagine being the first pin of 2026. Wouldn't that be epic? All right, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy 2026, people. Bye-bye.